rain lashed against the cracked window as Emma stumbled into the dim apartment. Her chest heaved, heart pounding with the weight of a truth she could no longer ignore. "How could he?" she whispered, voice trembling, staring at the letter that revealed her brother's betrayal. Shadows of past memories twisted across the walls, haunting her. A sudden knock jolted her. Mark's voice from outside, calm but insistent. "Emma, we need to talk." She clenched the crumpled paper, tears mingling with raindrops on her cheeks, unsure if she wanted comfort or confrontation. Every corner of the room seemed to echo with grief. The storm outside mirrored the chaos within her soul. Each breath was a struggle between surrendering to despair and fighting for clarity. Mark stepped in, soaked and silent, offering an awkward embrace that felt both solace and accusation. Emma's gaze flicked to the empty chair where her mother once sat, the absence sharp and cruel. The weight of unresolved loss pressed down on her, yet a tiny ember of determination glimmered, urging her to stand, broken but unyielding. The morning after the storm, Emma wandered the empty streets, wrapped in a scarf too thin against the chill. Her mind replayed the confrontation with Mark, the letter's damning words echoing in every step. Streetlights flickered, reflecting off puddles, as memories of her mother's laughter clashed with grief and betrayal. Each familiar corner of the city seemed distant, foreign. She passed a bakery, the smell of fresh bread triggering a pang of nostalgia. Mark's words haunted her. "You can't hide from the truth." She wondered if truth was a refuge or a cage. The cold seeped into her bones, mirroring the icy knot in her chest. Her reflection in a rain-slicked window seemed almost unrecognizable, eyes sunken, face pale, yet determination flickered beneath the surface. Emma realized she could no longer run, not from the city, not from Mark, and certainly not from herself. Every step felt like a small act of courage. Somewhere in the lingering fog of betrayal and loss, she needed to find a foothold, a reason to believe that she could rise again, even broken. Inside the cafe, warmth and chatter assaulted Emma's senses. She sank into a corner, clutching a steaming cup of coffee. Memories of her childhood here mingled with bitter truths. Mark's betrayal felt like a wound reopening, yet a small comfort came from the familiar aromas and soft hum of life. A stranger's laugh, a child's delighted squeal, the clinking of cups, all seemed distant echoes in her mind. Emma's fingers traced the rim of her cup, grounding her. She recognized that healing might start here, not in grand gestures, but in small moments of presence. The past still whispered, but she inhaled, letting the steam rise between her thoughts. She thought of the letter again, and realized she could not escape confrontation forever. Somewhere between sorrow and courage, she sensed the first stirrings of resilience, fragile but undeniable. The bell above the door jingled, and Mark entered, cautious yet purposeful. Emma's heartbeat jumped, a mixture of anger and longing flooding her chest. "I didn't know how to tell you," he murmured, eyes downcast. The warmth of the cafe contrasted sharply with the coldness between them. "And that Wednesday with..." Emma studied his face, searching for honesty amid regret. Words failed, leaving only the weight of shared history and unspoken grief. Mark moved closer, unsure, tentative, while Emma's hands tightened around her cup. Every fiber of her being resisted reconciliation, yet the human need for connection gnawed relentlessly. Outside, a soft drizzle continued, tapping the windows like a muted applause, punctuating silence that neither dared to break. Their gaze locked, past hurts, present tensions, and fragile hope, suspended in a delicate, tense equilibrium. Words finally stumbled from Emma's lips, trembling but clear. "Why, Mark?" Silence followed, thick and suffocating. Mark swallowed, struggling to meet her gaze. "I was afraid you'd never forgive me," he admitted, voice barely audible. The cafe's warmth felt distant, inconsequential against the storm raging between them. Emma's fingers loosened around her mug, letting steam escape unnoticed. The past, heavy and unyielding, pressed against their present moment. Yet amid guilt and sorrow, a flicker of understanding emerged. Both were broken, yet something unspoken, a connection forged through shared loss, remained. Outside, the drizzle softened, the city muted, and Emma realized that confronting pain might be the first step toward healing. In the stillness, hope was fragile but alive, a seed ready to take root despite shattered ground. The city streets glistened with the afterglow of rain as Emma walked briskly toward the riverfront. Her mind replayed the fragile connection with Mark, balancing anger with reluctant hope. The sounds of traffic and distant sirens felt intrusive, yet strangely grounding. Each step splashed through puddles, water rising around her shoes as if reflecting the turmoil inside her. She clutched her coat tighter, inhaling the cold, crisp air that stung her lungs and sharpened her focus. The river ahead shimmered under the faint orange light of street lamps, waves lapping quietly against the dock. Emma's thoughts wandered to her mother, to lessons learned in small quiet moments, now amplified by grief. She knew confronting the past was necessary, but the weight of uncertainty slowed her pace. Mark's words lingered, "We can't fix what we deny." She wondered if redemption was a path or a trap. At the edge of the river, she paused, letting the night stillness seep in, feeling the tension between fear and the faint glow of courage that pushed her forward. Mark found himself pacing the small apartment, replaying every word from their last encounter. His guilt weighed heavily, pressing against his chest, making each breath shallow. He stared out the window, watching the city lights blink in patterns that made no sense. Every shadow reminded him of missed opportunities. Every silence amplified the mistakes he feared were irreparable. His hands fidgeted with a pen on the table, a nervous rhythm he could not break. Mark knew reconciliation required action, not words, yet hesitation held him prisoner. The night outside was cold and unforgiving, yet inside, a small ember of hope flickered. He rehearsed apologies, explanations, even jokes to soften the tension, but none felt enough. The memory of Emma's eyes, hurt yet wary, haunted him. He realized that repairing the fragile bond demanded vulnerability, a willingness to face the storm within themselves. And so he waited, listening to the rhythm of rain against the window, preparing to confront truth without certainty of forgiveness. Emma arrived at the old community center, heart pounding with a mixture of anticipation and dread. The building's facade was weathered, paint peeling, yet it radiated memories of childhood laughter and long-forgotten lessons. Inside, echoes of past gatherings lingered in the air, carrying warmth and melancholy intertwined. She traced her fingers along the wooden railings, each touch a bridge between who she was and who she hoped to become. Conversations drifted faintly from a nearby room, laughter and voices stirring something deep within her. Emma realized that growth demanded facing uncomfortable truths and embracing moments of vulnerability. She paused at the main hall's entrance, drawing a deep breath, letting the scents of polished wood and faint dust settle her nerves. Her steps, hesitant at first, became steadier as she moved forward, carrying both grief and the fragile hope that her path, though uncertain, might lead to something resembling peace. The walls seemed to whisper encouragement, urging her to confront herself with honesty and courage. Mark arrived at the community center minutes later, hesitating at the door. His chest tightened as he saw Emma moving through the hallway, calm yet purposeful. The sound of her footsteps echoed in the quiet hall, blending with the distant hum of activity from the main room. Memories of past arguments clashed with the longing to reconnect, creating a whirlpool of emotion he struggled to navigate. He paused, weighing words against silence, realizing that action must precede apology. Stepping forward, his eyes caught hers, and in that moment, hesitation dissolved into fragile resolve. Emma noticed him but continued walking, unaware if she would turn, if she could trust the presence that had once caused both pain and love. Mark followed slowly, careful not to overstep, letting the rhythm of their shared past guide him. The hallway's muted light accentuated worn textures, casting soft shadows on their faces and marking a transition between fear and courage. They met in the main hall, silence stretching as if testing their resolve. Emma looked at Mark, searching for sincerity beneath layers of guilt and fear. "I'm here," he said softly, each word carrying weight and vulnerability. She felt a mixture of relief and hesitation, the space between them heavy yet filled with unspoken potential. Sunlight through dusty windows illuminated their faces, highlighting the contours of hope and caution. Emma considered the bridge between past betrayals and present possibilities, realizing forgiveness was not a single act, but a series of conscious choices. Mark took a small step closer, eyes never leaving hers, hand trembling slightly, as if reaching for trust itself. Their shared history hummed between them, a delicate dance of memory and expectation. In that quiet, suspended moment, both understood that rebuilding would demand patience, courage, and openness. Outside, a soft breeze rustled leaves, carrying with it the first promise of renewal. Together, yet still fragile, they stood at the threshold of something neither fully understood, yet both yearned to explore. Emma and Mark walked together outside the community center, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows on the empty street. Their steps were slow, deliberate, as if the rhythm of their movement could realign the fractured past. Emma broke the silence, her voice gentle but steady, sharing memories that were both painful and precious. Mark listened, nodding occasionally, his hands in his pockets, trying to anchor himself to the present. Around them, the city was quiet, the distant hum of traffic softened by the golden light of dusk. They passed a small park where children's laughter echoed faintly, a reminder of innocence and resilience. The air carried a subtle scent of autumn leaves, grounding them in the world outside their own turmoil. Both felt the weight of unsaid words, the need to rebuild trust slowly, carefully. They paused at a corner, watching as the sun dipped behind the skyline, realizing that each step forward required courage, patience, and a shared willingness to face the unknown together. As evening approached, they found themselves at a quiet riverside pier. The water reflected fading sunlight, rippling with the occasional movement of ducks and drifting leaves. Emma touched the wooden railing, feeling the cold texture under her fingers, and shared her fears about vulnerability and trust. Mark admitted his own uncertainty, the weight of past mistakes heavy in his voice. Silence settled between them for a moment, not uncomfortable but filled with possibility. The soft rustling of reeds and distant waterfowl created a gentle rhythm that mirrored the slow reconnection of their hearts. Each wave against the pier seemed to erase a fraction of old grievances, carrying them away. Emma finally smiled, a subtle but genuine curve of relief and hope. Mark responded with a tentative grin, acknowledging that healing was ongoing, fragile, but achievable. They stood together, side by side, the river's reflection symbolizing the clarity and depth of understanding slowly forming between them. Night fell, and the city lights shimmered on the wet pavement as Emma and Mark returned to the streets. They laughed quietly at old, shared jokes, the sound fragile but genuine. The tension of previous encounters seemed lighter, replaced by a cautious warmth. Street vendors closed up, their lights blinking out one by one, leaving a calm, almost intimate silence around the couple. Emma shared a story from her childhood, her words painting images of joy and mischief that made Mark's eyes soften. He, in turn, recounted a memory he rarely spoke aloud, a small act of kindness that had shaped him. Each confession brought them closer, the walls of defensiveness gradually falling away. The city itself seemed to pause, as if respecting the delicate process of two people learning to trust again. They held hands briefly, not forcefully, just enough to remind themselves of presence, of connection. The night's chill was offset by the quiet warmth growing between them, tentative but undeniable. They arrived at a small rooftop garden overlooking the city skyline, the wind carrying a crisp chill. Emma breathed deeply, feeling the combination of height, wind, and urban light awaken clarity within her. Mark adjusted his coat, shivering slightly, but smiling at her presence beside him. They leaned against the railing, gazing out at the endless expanse of lights below, each building a reminder of paths traveled and lives intersecting. Conversation flowed naturally now, honesty and humor blending, a stark contrast to the cautious silences of the past. Emma spoke of hope, of the possibility of rebuilding trust in layers, not all at once. Mark nodded, sharing his desire to repair mistakes and embrace the uncertain future with patience. They laughed together, wind tousling their hair, the city glowing behind them, and for the first time in months, both felt the fragile beauty of reconciliation, an unspoken understanding that growth is ongoing, not instantaneous. The night deepened as they finally descended from the rooftop, walking slowly through quiet streets, illuminated by warm lamplight. Emma looked at Mark, a mixture of relief and cautious optimism in her eyes. Mark smiled, softly acknowledging the fragile yet real connection between them. Words were minimal now, replaced by shared understanding and subtle gestures, each step a promise of ongoing effort and care. Around them the city slumbered, its sounds distant and muffled, creating a cocoon for their fragile reunion. They paused at a corner, watching the lamplight dance on wet bricks, reflections shimmering like tiny reminders of the journey they had traversed. Each moment felt delicate, yet charged with the potential for growth and healing. Emma squeezed his hand lightly, Mark returning the gesture, both recognizing that while the past could not be erased, it could be integrated into a new path together. As they continued walking, shadows lengthened behind them, but a faint glow of hope led the way forward, illuminating a future still uncertain, yet full of promise. Emma and Mark entered the shadowed forest, the canopy above filtering dim light into patterns on the forest floor. Every crunch of leaves underfoot echoed loudly in the quiet, tense air. They sensed something was watching, the wind whispering secrets through branches. Emma gripped Mark's hand tightly as they navigated between gnarled trees and moss-covered roots, their eyes scanning every movement. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the mist, a messenger with urgent news. The tension in the air was thick, hearts racing. They exchanged worried glances, knowing that whatever awaited would test the strength of their bond and their courage. The forest seemed alive, an almost sentient presence observing, warning and challenging them with every step. The messenger handed them a sealed letter, urgency in his eyes. Emma broke the seal with trembling fingers, and as she read aloud, her voice quivered with shock. The message revealed betrayal from someone they trusted, a plot that endangered not only them but the people they cared about. Mark's jaw tightened, eyes narrowing as he processed the news, calculating the risks and next steps. The forest seemed to close in, shadows lengthening as clouds obscured the light. Emma felt a surge of anger and fear, but also determination. Together, they plotted a path forward, realizing that clarity came through facing truth directly, even if it burned. Each revelation sharpened their resolve, binding them together against an uncertain and threatening future. They continued through the forest, now with a sense of urgent purpose. Emma's pace quickened, and Mark's vigilant eyes scanned for any threat. Every sound, the rustling leaves, snapping twigs, kept them on edge. They reached a clearing where sunlight pierced through the canopy, illuminating an abandoned campsite. Charred remnants of a fire, scattered belongings, and torn maps hinted at a struggle that had occurred recently. Emma knelt to examine the clues, tracing the edges of a burnt notebook, while Mark observed the perimeter for danger. Shadows moved subtly among the trees, and distant animal calls reminded them of the wildness surrounding them. Every step deepened their awareness of risk, yet also strengthened their resolve to uncover the truth hidden in the forest's secrets. As night approached, the forest took on an ominous tone, shadows deepening into shapes that seemed alive. Emma and Mark set up a small camp, whispering about strategy and contingencies. The flicker of their fire cast golden light across their faces, highlighting determination and fatigue. They heard distant footsteps and voices, raising their guard. Every snap of a branch heightened the tension. They shared a quiet conversation about trust, loyalty, and resilience, their bond strengthening despite uncertainty. The forest's nocturnal chorus, owls, rustling leaves, distant howls, provided a soundtrack to their cautious planning. They realized survival depended not just on skill but on unwavering unity, courage, and the willingness to confront fear head-on. Dawn broke, painting the forest in soft gold and green. Emma and Mark packed their gear, aware that the day would demand courage and swift action. Their eyes met with unspoken agreement, determination burning in each glance. They retraced steps to the campsite, piecing together the trail of betrayal and planning their next move with precision. Birds chirped nervously, as if echoing their tension. Sunlight filtering through the trees illuminated the path ahead, revealing a narrow trail that seemed both promising and perilous. Every heartbeat matched the rhythm of their resolve, each step reinforcing their shared purpose. With the forest as witness, they moved forward, ready to confront the dangers and uncover truths hidden in shadows. Emma stood at the edge of the hill, the sunrise spilling golden light across the valley. Mark approached slowly, carrying 2 steaming cups of coffee. Silence held, comfortable and unforced, as the first birds began their morning songs. Emma inhaled deeply, feeling hope and possibility in the crisp air. Mark extended a cup, and their fingers brushed. They exchanged smiles, acknowledging the long journey that brought them here. The valley below shimmered with dew, a reminder of life's quiet resilience. Emma spoke softly, her words carrying gratitude and cautious optimism. Mark nodded, listening, and together they watched the sun climb, feeling the promise of a new day. The morning breeze carried the scent of wildflowers as Emma and Mark walked along a winding path through the hills. Conversation flowed effortlessly, laughter punctuating their steps. Each story shared strengthened their bond, revealing vulnerabilities and past regrets in a safe space. Emma reached down to touch a bright yellow bloom, smiling at its simple beauty. Mark watched her, a quiet admiration in his gaze, reflecting appreciation for their shared journey. Shadows of the hills lengthened, and the sun painted the landscape in gold and amber. They paused, leaning against an old oak tree, feeling grounded and alive. The world felt expansive, full of second chances, and both silently acknowledged the growth and healing they had achieved together. Emma and Mark reached a wooden bridge arching over a quiet stream. The water reflected the sky's morning hues, soft ripples spreading outward. They paused, leaning over the railing, watching the reflections shift with the current. Emma's hand found Mark's, fingers interlacing naturally. They spoke softly, voices blending with the gentle babble of water, sharing hopes for the future. The world felt quiet, suspended in a moment of perfect stillness. Emma laughed at a small fish darting in the stream, and Mark joined in, his deep chuckle echoing lightly. Their connection, once fractured, now held a calm certainty. They turned together, ready to continue the walk, carrying both love and lessons learned into the brightening day. They arrived at a small village square buzzing with morning activity. Stalls displayed fruits, breads, and flowers, colors vibrant under the soft morning light. Emma admired a basket of apples, while Mark pointed out a baker kneading dough with practiced hands. People greeted them warmly, the sense of community welcoming. They wandered slowly, taking in the sights and scents, feeling the rhythm of life around them. Conversations flowed with ease, strangers smiling as they passed. Emma felt grounded, present in the simplicity of the moment. Mark whispered something funny, and she laughed freely. They moved together, side by side, a steady team embracing the ordinary, finding joy in connection, laughter, and shared understanding. The day ended with them sitting on a quiet hill, overlooking the village lights twinkling in the distance. Emma rested her head on Mark's shoulder, and he wrapped an arm around her. Silence felt full, peaceful, a contrast to the tension of the past. They spoke little, but the shared warmth was enough. The sky deepened to twilight, stars beginning to pierce the fading light. The world seemed vast yet intimate, a reflection of their journey from fear and doubt to trust and companionship. Emma smiled softly, feeling gratitude for every step that led them here. Mark kissed the top of her head, and they sat together, letting the night and each other's presence reaffirm that endings could also be beginnings, and love could thrive through trials and renewal. Emma and Mark stood at the edge of a cliff overlooking the ocean, waves crashing rhythmically against the rocks below. The salty breeze tousled their hair as they embraced the vast horizon. Emma traced patterns in the sand with a stick, imagining futures filled with adventure and growth. Mark smiled, offering quiet support, feeling the weight of shared experiences transform into hope. Seagulls wheeled overhead, their cries punctuating the sound of waves. They spoke softly about dreams yet unfulfilled, hearts full of gratitude and courage. Every gust of wind seemed to carry possibility. Emma's eyes glistened with excitement, while Mark's steady presence grounded them both, reminding them that together they could navigate any storm or calm. They wandered along the beach, footprints tracing their passage across wet sand. Emma bent to collect shells, laughing at their varied colors and textures. Mark joined her, examining a smooth, black stone with curiosity. The ocean stretched endlessly, a symbol of vast possibilities. Conversation flowed naturally, mixing memories with plans for the future. Emma felt a sense of liberation, shedding lingering fears and embracing spontaneity. Mark matched her energy, excitement lighting his features, eyes reflecting sunlight off the waves. Together, they skipped stones and watched them leap across the water, each splash a playful testament to shared joy. Their laughter mingled with the wind and surf, a harmonious moment of connection and renewal. As evening approached, Emma and Mark set up a small campfire near the dunes, the sky painted in vibrant oranges and purples. Flames flickered, casting warm light on their faces as they shared stories of childhood and dreams yet pursued. Emma roasted marshmallows carefully, savoring the sweetness and the simplicity of the moment. Mark laughed, recounting a silly memory, his eyes sparkling in the firelight. The scent of burning wood mingled with the ocean air, grounding them in this moment. They leaned back, hands clasped, letting the rhythmic sound of waves and crackling fire carry them into calm reflection. The day's adventures left them content, connected, and aware of the rare beauty of ordinary moments shared together. Night fell, stars twinkling like scattered diamonds above them. Emma pointed out constellations, her eyes filled with wonder. Mark listened, occasionally correcting her with gentle humor, and she laughed. The ocean's gentle roar provided a soothing soundtrack as they lay on a blanket, bodies close. Thoughts drifted to challenges overcome and the strength found in each other. Emma whispered hopes for the future, dreams of travel and growth, and Mark responded with quiet commitment and encouragement. Time felt suspended, the universe expansive yet intimate. Together, they experienced a profound connection, a shared sense of destiny and belonging that transcended words, a testament to love strengthened through trials and tenderness. As dawn approached, Emma and Mark packed their small campsite, ready to continue their journey. The first rays of sunlight glimmered on the water, reflecting the promise of new beginnings. They walked hand in hand along the dunes, silent yet full of understanding, hearts aligned with the rhythm of life and nature. Each step forward felt lighter, infused with hope and certainty. Emma glanced at Mark, a quiet smile passing between them, acknowledging the strength and love built through shared trials. The world stretched infinitely before them, a canvas for dreams, adventure, and lasting companionship. Together, they embraced the unknown, confident that every sunrise would bring new possibilities and enduring connection. Emma and Mark arrived in a bustling coastal town, streets alive with morning activity. The scent of fresh bread, sea salt, and flowers mingled in the air as vendors set up their stalls. Emma's eyes sparkled at the colorful shops and friendly faces, while Mark navigated confidently through the crowd, offering gentle guidance. They stopped to admire a mural depicting seafarers and mythical creatures, imagining themselves as part of the story. Children laughed nearby, chasing seagulls while musicians played cheerful tunes. Emma felt the thrill of discovery and the comfort of companionship, realizing that every step of their journey was enriched by shared curiosity. Mark's reassuring smile mirrored her excitement, creating a sense of harmony as they planned the day's adventures amidst vibrant energy and endless possibilities. They wandered along the harbor, watching boats sway gently with the tide. Emma marveled at the craftsmanship of small fishing vessels, while Mark explained local traditions and histories he had read about. A group of fishermen cast nets nearby, their rhythmic motions mesmerizing. The sun reflected on the water, creating golden glimmers that danced across the wooden docks. Emma picked up a small seashell and held it to her ear, listening to the echo of the ocean inside. Mark laughed softly, teasing her but sharing in her delight. The scene was alive with movement, sound and light, and yet they felt a serene connection, as if time slowed to allow them to savor each sensory detail. Every shared glance reinforced the depth of trust, love and friendship they had nurtured along their journey. They explored a cobblestone alley lined with art galleries and cafes, each corner offering unexpected discoveries. Emma paused to admire a sculpture depicting a phoenix rising from flames, tracing the curves with her eyes. Mark suggested they stop for coffee at a small cafe tucked between two vibrant buildings. The aroma of roasted beans filled the air as they sipped from delicate porcelain cups. Conversations of locals floated around them in melodic cadence, blending with street musicians' soft tunes. Emma felt a sense of belonging in this small corner of the world, while Mark's steady presence grounded her excitement. Together they mapped out the day with laughter and spontaneity, fully immersed in a tapestry of culture, color and sensory richness, embracing every detail as a moment of discovery and delight. As dusk fell, they climbed a hill overlooking the town, the streets below illuminated by golden lamplight. Emma's eyes scanned rooftops and chimneys, while Mark pointed to the lighthouse in the distance. The horizon glowed in shades of orange, pink and lavender, reflected in the harbor waters. They shared a quiet moment, the world stretching infinitely around them. Yet they felt anchored to each other. Emma leaned against Mark, breathing in the crisp evening air as they watched the town transform into a constellation of lights. Conversation dwindled, replaced by the serenity of presence. The town, ocean and sky seemed to converge into a single, magical panorama, evoking gratitude, awe, and a profound sense of continuity, as if every journey they had taken led to this luminous evening. Night settled gently, stars appearing above as they descended the hill. Emma and Mark returned to the harbor, the lights reflecting on calm waters. They paused to watch a small boat drift away, imagining stories of people they would never meet, yet feeling connected through shared human experience. Their hands intertwined, warmth flowing between them, echoing the day's adventures and challenges overcome. Emma whispered dreams of future travels and new endeavors, and Mark responded with quiet encouragement, hearts synchronized in hope and resilience. The town around them thrummed with gentle life, lanterns swinging in the evening breeze. In that peaceful moment, they realized that the journey was not only about destinations, but about moments of connection, growth, and shared discovery.